Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be the first video in the hog hunting series this year. But we're not starting with pigs. We're starting with arrows. So, you know, there's a lot of hype out there about heavier arrows, 650 grain weight arrows, front of center, cut on contact, broadhead, all that kind of stuff. So first, before I go any further, I want to say thank you to Troy from the Ranch Fairy. You answered a ton of my questions by email, and I really appreciate that. I ended up using arrows that I had left because I didn't realize I had about a dozen arrows left over. And when you have that many, it just, you know, I'm just going to shoot them until they're destroyed, and then I'll upgrade the arrow a little bit. So I'm going to show you the whole setup. But in this video, these just came in the mail. So we're going to open those up and take a look. These are, so for the spine of arrow and the draw weight that I am shooting in my bow, these are 175 grain samurai overkill single bevel cut on contact broadheads from Grizzly Stick. So I'm gonna open these up and I'll take a look at what they look like. One nice thing about Grizzly Stick is they actually, because I was looking at Iron Wills too, and because they had 175 grain single bevel cut on contact broadheads, but Grizzly Stick actually had 175 grain field points. So I can make sure that my arrows are going to be going where they're supposed to with the weight. So. So that's what we're shooting. Here's what they look like, all opened up. I like that they're pushed into the foam to protect that edge. And these broadheads are based on the Ashby reports. So you can see that there's single bevel there, okay? They're nice and heavy. They're very slim in their profile, because one of the things with the Ashby report was that even if you have an arrow that can split bone, if this middle part right here has a bunch of stuff on it or whatever that can get hung up in the bone, it's just gonna slow down. So I really wanted just something that was single bevel, no bleeders, none of that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is that it has, again, based on the Ashby reports, I'll try to link those here for you. Okay, you can kind of see it. It's got a tanto point. So it's not just a point that's gonna break. It's actually a tanto point where it's gonna hit, and that just having that shape is just going to help deflect a little bit of the impact and help this really shatter that bone and then keep on going. So they're very sharp. They come very, very sharp, and we will get full arrow setup video shortly. Alright, so that's the final arrow weight, 660. Got a 175 grain broadhead with the Luminoc on there. These things are gonna smash. Alright, so you guys saw the arrow weight with the Luminoc and the 175 grain point. We're at 660 grains for my total arrow weight. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate my front of center percentage. And so the way we do this is we're going to measure the valley of the knock to the end of the arrow shaft, okay, not including the insert and the point. And then we're going to find the balance point, and then we're going to measure from the valley of the knock to the balance point. And then we're going to use those two numbers to figure out what our front of center percentage is. So I've got this on a flat surface so I can get a solid measurement. My arrow shaft is 32 inches long. I'm going to use this super handy arrow calculator. This is on Western Whitetail, so I'll make sure to link this. 32. And now we'll find our balance point. And to do that, I'm just going to basically use my finger. Right about there. Okay. And now there. So there. Got about 22. So I'm going to plug these two numbers. Into my calculator. Okay, and so my front of arrow percentage is about 18.75. And really anything 15% and over is going to be a real heavy front of center arrow. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm up above that 650 total grain weight, and I've got a real heavy front of center. That's what I wanted with this build. So I'm going to talk through a little bit what I got going on here. So these are Easton 5mm full metal jackets. Okay, you can actually see on here they're 11.3 grains per inch, and they're 340 spine. I'm shooting a 60-pound bow with a 34-inch draw length, roughly. I've got the Luminoc nocks on here. These are ones that light up, and then when you just pull back on them. I have maybe a very slight offset to the right helical, but it's not a ton, because I'm going to shoot those single bevel, those right hand single bevel grizzly sticks. So I've got a 50 grain half in half out steel insert, 55 grain half in half out insert, and then 175 grain grizzly stick field point on the end. That was one thing. So Iron Will also makes a 175 grain broadhead, but I went with grizzly stick because they actually had field points that fit a standard 8/32 thread, and Iron Will did not. So those are the components of my arrow. It's dark outside, so we're not going to shoot tonight, but that'll be the last part of this. We'll test these from 20, 30, 40, 50 yards in the backyard, and show you that heavier arrow does not necessarily have a real high trajectory when you're shooting it from when you're shooting a properly spined heavy arrow with a moderately heavy bow. The other thing is that my Matthews Triax is just kind of a faster bow anyway, so I can shoot a heavier arrow, maintain a lot of kinetic energy downrange, and with those grizzly stick single bevels, I mean, this thing is gonna, there's nothing this thing wouldn't smash through. So yeah, next up, target range. Alright, so here we go. Archery test. We're going to test these heavy arrows. So I'm at 20 yards right now. So I'm going to shoot a group of 3 from 20. I'm going to shoot a second group of 3 from 20. Move the camera up so you can see them on impact. And then we'll move back to 30 and 40 and 50. So the target is just to the left of the door. And you should be able to see. I'm going to shoot the luminog first. So this was not the best release. I can see that the angle I am shooting to the target, that's my bow in the grass over here. So the angle that I am shooting to the target is off like that, so they're actually hitting square, which is what you want. And yeah, I mean, these are 660 grain arrows. So I'm gonna put this over here, watch these come in. Okay, so real quick, my bag is pretty much wrecked from years of abuse. So I'm going to shoot these at 20. I'm going to shoot them at this yard bag. Hopefully the yard bag will stop. Hopefully the yard bag will stop enough of the arrow, and then it'll just kind of touch the target bag behind it. So hopefully you guys were able to see those come through. And I mean, they really penetrated the hell out of this bag. So I have no idea what getting these out is going to be like. I'm probably going to have to zoom in on that target a little bit for you. This is at 30 yards. Let's go see what 30 yards looks like. 30 yards, okay, 60-pound bow, 660 grain arrow. And this is a 32-inch arrow, guys, okay? So that's maybe 8 inches left. I mean, I know that a bag of lawn waste is not a deer or a pig, but still, that gives you an idea of what kind of penetration you're gonna get with a heavier arrow. So I'm going to set this up again so you can see these come in hot. Alright, so 2 of these hit a little bit low. Those were the first 2 I shot. This one was pretty much where I was aiming. This one, I think I had a bad release. This one hit pretty much again where I wanted it to. So I'm also shooting uphill. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but my backyard slopes off pretty considerably once we get out there. So I'm not gonna shoot a deer at much over 35 anyway. So I will probably tinker with my sight. That last one, I actually did move up a little bit from right off the 30 line to maybe more like 36, 37 yards. So I will likely have to put a new sticker on for that, and that's fine. But again, even at 30 yards, I mean, this arrow basically came in right above the ground, and it still got that much penetration. It's still got that much penetration through the bag. So all I'm trying to say is, heavy arrow, enough draw weight on the bow, and it's a lot like Rancher said. You know, you're gonna get that penetration you're looking for. I have a black target coming, so I'll be able to shoot broadheads at that, and that'll really kind of help finalize stuff. But for now, just for the initial arrow flights, the weight, the build process, I'll link all of this stuff below. Most of it came from my local shop, but again, I believe you can get most of this at Shields, and I love Shields, so if you see a bunch of Shields links, that's why. I'll link the archery shop as well. It's by Matthew's Triax. This bow came out in 2018, and man, there's not a better bow out there, really. I really truly believe that. And then I've got a single pin HHA sliding sight, and I love this thing. This helped me be a lot more accurate shooter having a single pin. So that's my setup. Like I said, I'll link everything in the description. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. If you have questions on this build, do not hesitate to ask in the comment section. So until next time, tight lines, tight chains, shoot straight.